Good morning. My name is Reverend Connie Simon. We are delighted to have you here at First Unitarian Church of Cincinnati. In this urban Unitarian Universalist religious community, we welcome all with love, support learning and spiritual growth, serve our wider community, and work for justice, equity, and inclusion. Even though we're not together physically, we're going to have coffee hour today. After the service, grab a cup of your favorite beverage and some snacks and come back to the computer for a virtual coffee hour. Coffee hour will be held on Zoom, so you'll be able to see and talk to one another. If you don't have the link, send an email to me or to member-care@firstuu.com and we'll get it to you right after the service. If you're new to First Church and want to know more about us, call us or give us an email. Send us an email. Our contact information is on the website at firstuu.com. Include your name, email address, and phone number so we can get back to you. There are lots of things happening in our busy community over the summer. The first thing I want to mention is last week we had a photograph during the service of a young man with his two sisters building an igloo, and you were asked to guess who it was. There's absolutely no prize at all, but if you guessed Chuck Schneider, you were correct. I also want to let you know that during the month of July, our office will be closed. We will be posting very short services that'll include a homily and a story for all ages and a piece of music during each of the July Sundays. And our welcoming and membership team will be hosting a coffee hour for you all to get together again. But next, there is one thing I want to make sure that you're all aware of, and that is that our General Assembly worship will take place next Sunday at 10 a.m. on YouTube and on the uua.org website. You'll all get an email to watch this next week and still have coffee hour. For those who are unaware of what this means, First Unitarian Church is a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. And once a year, representatives from these congregations get together to do the business of the association. This year it'll happen virtually instead of traveling to Providence, Rhode Island. First Church will be sending 6 delegates, and I will be there myself virtually. We'll have a report back for you later in the summer. This Sunday morning marks the longest day of the year, the summer solstice. And so it seems fitting that our call to worship should be something that celebrates that day. As you know, our chalice is already lit. We have not put it out as a sign of our allyship and our dedication and commitment to the justice work that's happening in our world. So our call to worship this morning is by B. Leslie Coons, and it goes like this. We come together this morning as celebrants, as seekers and companions. We enter into this, the longest day, joyfully allowing ourselves the beauty of this time together in which we may rest our cares and sorrows and allow our hearts and spirits to be uplifted. I invite you to take a deep breath, to drink in the beauty and community that surrounds you in this place, and as you release it, become centered here in the now.
Hi, I'm Meredith Plummer, and welcome to my Storytime studio. Since today is volunteer recognition, I thought I'd share with you the person who inspired me to become an educator. That was Mr. Robert Keller. He was my 5th and 6th grade teacher. He made learning fun in a way that had never happened for me before. When we did reading, we created alternative cover art. When we did math, we created dodecahedrons using compasses. In history, we reenacted the events that led up to the Revolutionary War. And in science, we played marbles. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the game, it's quite simple. You see, you have a big marble that's called your shooter, and you have these little marbles. The game is played with at least 2 players, each of them taking turns flicking the shooter towards the smaller marbles. And if a marble gets outside the circle, then the player gets to keep it. When we did this in science, Mr. Keller was teaching us about the first law of thermodynamics. The idea that energy is never created or destroyed, it's just transferred. So we would take turns shooting the shooter, trying to get the marbles out of the circle. And you can see that the energy never really left. It just transferred from the shooter to the smaller marbles. Volunteering in religious education is a lot like marbles. Our volunteers, they take the energy and the passion that they have for First Unitarian Church, for Unitarian Universalism, and for our children. They become the shooter and they transfer it to our children. And hopefully there's enough energy and we do this enough times that eventually, hopefully, we get to keep a few.
Here are some family faith development volunteer stats for you. We started out the year with 335 volunteer hours between September and late May. That's an average of 10 hours every Sunday. By the time First Church decided to stop meeting in early March, we had filled 236 of those volunteer hours. That is in thanks, largely, to over 55 volunteers who gave of their time and talent this year. Thank you to those of you who gave 1 to 3 Sundays this year. Thank you to those who gave 4 to 5 Sundays this year. And a big thank you to those who volunteered 6 to 10 Sundays this year. To all of our volunteers, thank you for your time, talent, and dedication to our children and youth.
My wonder question for you today is this. What are you doing for keeps?
Thank you again to all of our volunteers. It's your commitment that makes us successful and that guides our youth and our adults on their spiritual journeys. It is now the time in the service when we pause to lift up the joys and the sorrows that we have been carrying in our hearts since the last time we were together. We'll begin with our joys. We are delighted to report that both Tim Kraus and Michelle Ellis have completed cancer treatments. Tim will remain in a monitoring program, and Michelle is delighted to tell us that she is now cancer-free. Woohoo! We also have a sorrow to share inside our community. Longtime friend Richard Nair died on June 14th. He passed away at the age of 88. A small service will be held at Spring Grove next Saturday, June 27th. In lieu of any cards or emails, the family requests that gifts be made in the name of Richard to the American Heart Association or to the American Cancer Society. Our hearts also go out this morning to Kenny Smith, longtime staff member at this congregation, whose mother was in a serious car accident. Kenny returned home to Cincinnati from New York to be at her side. We are all sending her our love, support, and good wishes for health. Outside the walls of our community, we celebrate the actions of the Supreme Court in the DACA case this past week. We celebrate, lift up, and hold in our hearts all of those who have taken steps for justice and equity in our world, for those who have protested, for those who have spoken up, for those who have stepped out, for those who are using their voice to write letters, to be heard, and to make this a better world. And at the same time, we hold in our hearts those who continue to be victims of the oppression that's in our world, those who continue to suffer from injustice and inequality, and those who continue to suffer and be afflicted by the coronavirus. For all those that we've named, we drop a stone in the water. For those whose names we do not know, we drop another stone. And for the names of all of those whose names are carefully guarded in our hearts, we drop another stone. May they all feel the love and warmth and community that is present in this sacred hour. There's another thing I'd like to acknowledge today, and that's that it's Father's Day. Last month we had a special service dedicated just to mothers. Well, this week we don't have a whole service for fathers, but I do want to offer a special meditation written by Amy Petrie Shaw. We recognize and honor today every dad who stood as their child shouted at them in anger or frustration. Every dad who tried to understand their child's clothing choices, new hairdo, or new tattoo. Every dad who suddenly realized that their child might be right and was willing to listen, and every dad who honestly believed that they were making the best choices they could. We honor every dad who screwed it up, got it wrong, tried again, got it right, and often went from being the dumbest soul alive to the pinnacle of brilliance and back again in one day, according to his children. These are our dads. We honor and recognize today all those who taught us what they knew and forgave us when we got it wrong. Those who wanted to teach us but left too soon, or simply did not know how to teach at all. Those who walked us to the bathroom in the dark, and those who turned on the lights and waited up for us to come back on our own. Those who let us break their binoculars and steal their shirts, and those who taught us why it was wrong to break and steal. These are our dads. We recognize and honor today all of the men who taught us what it meant to be honest, even when it was embarrassing. To tell the truth and admit to our faults, to be human. We recognize, too, those fathers who could not teach us these things because they did not know themselves, but who hoped and prayed that we would do better than they ever did. These are our dads. Today we honor and recognize all of the men who have been there or tried to be there no matter what. Those who have remained calm in a crisis, and those who could not remain calm but didn't run away. Those who did run away but came back again, and those who never came back but always wished it could have been different. They are our dads, rich and poor, tall and short, slender as a pole or round as a basketball. They are the men who helped us, who helped to raise us, and those who formed us through their actions and sometimes through their lack of actions. They are our dads, birth fathers and adoptive fathers, stepfathers and foster dads, fathers who have no children themselves but who step in to help raise the child of a neighbor or a friend, grandfathers and uncles, single moms who've had to learn to go beyond motherhood, trans dads who've given birth, trans dads who didn't, queer dads and gay dads and female partners willing to take on the role. They are our dads. Through love and hatred, joy and tears, addiction, mental health issues, perfect health, sickness, aging, wealth and poverty, absence and presence, they are our dads. They are because of us. We are because of them. They are our dads. Please join me now in a moment of silent meditation, reflection, or prayer. Last year, during my first year here, we started something called People Who Get Things Done Awards as an opportunity to lift up and publicly thank all of those who make First Church the place that it is, those who get the job done when there is a job that needs to be done. And this is going to become an annual thing. So what you're about to see are photographs and honorable mentions and congratulations and celebrations of those who have gotten things done here at First Church. These were all nominated by members, and everyone who was nominated received an award, so settle in. We've got a lot of awards today. We begin with our staff. And the comments were overflowing with praise for them, for Meredith, for creating home programs for our youth and families and quickly adapting in-person lessons to virtual online lessons, including lessons on how to use Zoom and how to be together in a virtual world. To Carrie, for managing to keep the finances afloat, to keep the building safe and secure, for continuing to do all that she does, even though we are not in the building physically. And to Jera for recording dozens of pieces of music for us, and I think I can best sum it up as one of the nominees said, for her Jera-ness. So thank you to all three of these lovely people for getting things done at First Church.
Coffee, 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 praise the strength of coffee. Early in the morning, rise with thoughts of holy need. Send treasures repeated, dark but defeated, road black by earth, or drip or though else we scoff, we come to church for coffee. If religion congregate, we come in time for thee. Coffee our one ritual, drinking is habitual. Road black by birth, or drip or instantly. Coffee the communion, our union, symbol of our sacred root, our one necessity. Feel the holy power at a coffee hour. Road black by birth, or drip or instantly.
Our first category of awards are the program awards. These go to the folks who make all of our programs run in the church. The first one goes to the Social Justice Committee Press Team, as they have been so named. Kim Clokey, we need to get a photograph of you. But Kim and Debbie Davidson have put together a monthly Social Justice Committee newsletter that highlights the work of our committee. And Debbie puts out weekly things that each of us can do to support the cause of justice. Thank you both. Our next award goes to Jamie Moore. Jamie was nominated for her dedication to adult faith development and for her willingness to step in and help others learn. Next, we have an award for Tim Kraus, who was also nominated for his adult faith development work, in particularly his classes, his sessions on class and social privilege. We are grateful to both of them for their work with adult faith development. In the music program, we received a nomination for Cynthia Heinrich for her hard work and commitment to organizing and cataloging our choir music, which, as we've learned, goes back to the late 1800s. To Patty Kelly, the award for organizing senior high youth outings. Your work is much appreciated. To Bruce Hobbs, the award for keeping our IT humming. It's a big task making sure that our networks are always up and that our phones are always operational and all of our systems are at go. Linda Miltner was nominated, this kind of sounded like a paragraph when I first got it, but it said, for heart and hand leadership, for being the registrar, for her work in welcoming and membership, for being a bedtime story reader for our youth, and drive-by coordinator for Noel, and friend to Jean Weilbaker. Linda Miltner gets things done. To Brian Rivers and Larry Bullock for giving us the joy of our choir. If you're unaware, these two regularly combine all of the individual voices of our choir members and meld them together so that you can hear the choir singing as though they're here in the room. To Janet Schneider for jumping into Heart and Hand with both feet and doing an amazing job. How fitting is it that she's in front of water? To Barb Ryder for your dedication in making First Church welcoming to all new members. Thank you, Barb. Now is the time where we have to raise the funds to keep this program work moving forward. Giving to First Church is easy. You can text the word GIVE to 513-717-7373. Through Breeze, which is our church management communication system, you can click Give Now. You can give online at firstuu.com, or you can mail your check to 536 Linton Street, Cincinnati, Ohio. If you are a member or this is your first time visiting our church, please let the virtual plate pass you by. Our offering will now be gratefully received. Our next category of awards are the Governance Awards. There are two in this category. The first goes to Dennis Finney and Dick Miltner for creating a thoughtful budget during these hard times and for explaining it to us so well. Amen to that. And then there were 3 awards for Gary Gephardt, which are all kind of the same, but they all deserve to be mentioned. One is the Above and Beyond Award. Another was the Pound of Flesh Award. And the third one was Tireless Performance by a Board President in Challenging Times. All 3 are well deserved. And now we'll enjoy a piano duet by members John and Suzanne Carpenter. Beautiful. The next category of awards are those for moving us forward, for working into our mission. The first of these goes to Lynn Martin for leading us through the application process to get this important grant, meaning our security grant. Thanks to the whole team. Our next award goes to Ray Sinclair for his hard work in getting us a $10,000 grant for this AV equipment that allows us to be in the sanctuary even during the pandemic. To Ralph Jacob for tech deck planning, the elevator, and for roof repair. And you'll get to see the tech deck a little bit later in the service. To Park Dendy for speaking up and reminding us why we are here. To the Opening Hearts team for doing the hard work of getting us to look inward and do the introspection needed to start changing the world. That team is Patricia Rohr, Linnea Lose, Tim Kraus, David Johnson, and Jane Hobson. And I don't have a photograph for this one. I should have, but there was one that was submitted, the Wise Counsel Award, to Beth Whalen, Jenny Kruger, Barb Ryder, Tim Kraus, and Linnea Lose for passing on their collective experience as the ad hoc committee dealing with our disruptive behavior. Thank you to all of them. This next category we have, and this is our last category, is called the Blessing Our Spirits Award. These are for those people who just make First Church a nice place to be, a good, warm, welcoming, friendly, better place to be. The first of these awards, and again this was a multiple nominee, goes to Denise Olden for the Pollinator Garden. Thank you, Denise, for making the First Church campus more beautiful, and thank you to all those who help you in this effort. To Bob Wells for mowing the lawn, for repairing walls, for doing lighting work, and for building frames. To Scott Riffle for mowing the lawn and repairing gutter soffits at Carmen Villa's house. To Ed Ryder for also mowing the lawn and helping out at Carmen's, and for gathering all the bids for our security grant work. To Mike Kruger for also helping out at Carmen's, and for removing and replacing all the moldings, the quarter-round moldings during the lobby carpet replacement project. To Stephen Crandall for helping with the removal and replacement of all the molding during the carpet replacement project, and for your service on the front lines of COVID healthcare. Thank you, Stephen. To Philip and Rebecca Schaefer, for they are named as the Grilled Cheese Sandwich Masters, and also they were nominated for reminding us that joy can come from simplicity. Joe Rowling was nominated for organizing First Church senior tickets at Reds games and efficiently returning money to all fans when the season was canceled without complaint. To Lee Kaler for painting, for archive work, and for keeping the lobby clock ticking in good order. To Jean Rowling for sending lovely cards and notes when we least expect to receive them and when we need them the most. To Fran Turner, who is nominated as the Super Cyber Meditation Leader, for continuing to bring us together for sustenance in silence. And then to Doug Rohr for his technological expertise, he's glaring at me right now, for making the magic happen here every week, for figuring this all out, for allowing all of the equipment to come to his home, for his work on the nominating committee, for his work with Opening Hearts and trying to encourage beloved community dialogue, and for his support to me as the minister of this congregation. Thank you, Doug. And those are all of our People Who Get Things Done awards for 2020. I promise when we get back, you can get your official little statue that we gave out last year. I have them ready and waiting for you. And now, as a Father's Day tribute, it seems perfect that this next piece of music would be a performance by Adam Rohr. It's important to remember that even during a pandemic, even during times of protest, even during times of confusion and uncertainty, life still goes on. And the membership of this church still goes on. There are people looking for spiritual homes now in ways that they never did before. There are people finding new places to be, new communities to join. And we are blessed that today we have 4 people who have chosen to make First Church their spiritual home. One of our welcoming and membership people pointed out to me that this is the first time in the 190-year history of this church that we have ever welcomed new members over YouTube. And I say, well, there's a first time for everything. So today it is my pleasure to introduce you to 4 new members who you'll hear a little bit of their bio and see their photos, and the bios will be read by their First Church buddies. Welcome to our new members.
Hi, this is Karen Rohr. Tom and I are looking forward to being new member buddies for the Galloways. Karen and Dick were high school sweethearts in Middletown, Ohio before they went their separate ways. But they reconnected and married 24 years ago and now have a blended family, 1 daughter and 3 sons, and 9 grandchildren. Dick has always been an issues activist. Together they started a local branch of Move to Amend 2 years ago. No strangers to Unitarian Universalism. The Galloways were active UUs in Sacramento, California. And after coming back to Ohio, Karen served 5 years as co-president of Harmony UU Fellowship in Maineville. Now that the Galloways are living in Madeira, they are joining First Church, and we are so glad. Welcome.
Hello, this is Brian Rivers, and I'd like to introduce you to my new member buddy, Andrew Miller. Andrew Miller was raised in the UU in Lexington, Kentucky Church. He now lives in Florence, Kentucky, and is the director of choirs at Covington Latin High School. He started attending First Church in early 2020 and immediately connected with the music director, Jared Cox, about having a church band. During the COVID-19 shutdown, Andrew has provided music for the Lexington Church virtual worship services. And we found out that he also officiates weddings. We look forward to having Andrew as our newest member of our congregation. Andrew, welcome.
Hello, this is Allison Irwin, new member buddy for Nancy Sawyer. Nancy and her husband Philip moved to Cincinnati several years ago to be closer to their aging parents, and they now reside in Glendale. She was most recently a member of a UU fellowship in Eastern Maryland. Nancy works as a registered dietitian in Hamilton with the WIC program. She started coming to First Church 18 months ago and misses being in community during the current COVID-19 shutdown. Nancy and I met at last year's women's retreat, and we're all glad you're a member at First Church now. Welcome, Nancy.
Welcome again to all of our new members. Folks from our welcoming and membership team will make sure that each of our 4 new members do sign the book in real ink, physically distanced, but welcome. And as we do when we welcome new members to the church, please join me in reading responsive reading number 728. Blessed are those. And I think I'll probably read both parts here, but I'm hoping that the new members will read along with the beginning, with the new member parts, and the congregation will read along on the screen on the other parts. Blessed are those who yearn for deepening more than escape, who are not afraid to grow in spirit. Blessed are those who take seriously the bonds of community, who regularly join in celebration and learning, who come as much to minister as to be ministered unto. Blessed are those who bring their children, who invite their friends to come along, to join in fellowship, service, learning, and growth. Blessed are those who support the church and its work by their regular, sustained, and generous giving, and who give of themselves no less than their money. Blessed are those who know that the church is often imperfect, yet rather than harbor feelings of anger or disappointment, bring their concerns and needs to the attention of the church leaders. Blessed are those who, when asked to serve, do it gladly, who realize that change is brought about through human meeting, who do the work of committees and stay till the end. Blessed are those who speak their minds in meetings, who can take and give criticism, who keep alive their sense of humor. Blessed are those who know that the work of the church is the transformation of society, who have a vision of beloved community transcending the present, and who do not shrink from controversy, sacrifice, or change. All together, please. Blessed are they indeed. This is our last church service of this year. We'll have live services resuming from the sanctuary in August, on the first Sunday of August. But I thought that in the meantime, we'll leave our chalice burning. Symbolically, I'll put it out after the show, so that we are all reminded that First Church is still here, that we are all a part of this blessed congregation. The power of love will sustain us until we are together again. And in the meantime, I thought you might enjoy a look around the sanctuary one more time before we end. As you can see, the old place is still here. And what you're seeing there is our new tech deck. It may be a little difficult to see, but if you can tell, it was built into the end of the east-facing jury box. That's where all of our sound equipment will live. And underneath, there are two doors which conceal storage, which is where all of our VIP toys and games and materials for our youth will go. Patricia and Doug are waving at you. As we do our special thanks this week, I want to thank everyone who has made all of our services possible throughout this entire church year. We couldn't do what we do without you. So thanks to all who get it done. And by way of benediction, I will leave you with the words of Vera Lynn's song, "We'll Meet Again." Don't know where, don't know when, but we'll meet again some sunny day. I love you all. Go in peace.